City Property Committee and Committee of the Whole. Clerk, can you, it is October 25th, it is 6:21 p.m. Clerk, can you call the roll?
For the Property Committee, Chairman Stakoviak.
Here.
Councilor Russo.
Yes.
Councilor Moreno.
Here.
For the Committee of the Whole, President Mercer.
Here.
Councilor Russo.
Here.
Councilor Codier.
Here.
Councilor Gregor.
Here.
Councilor Moran.
Here.
Councilor Moreno.
Here.
Councilor Rubio.
Here.
Councilor Stakoviak.
Here.
Councilor Wildernay.
Here.
So 9 in attendance and 3 in attendance for the Property Committee.
Okay, I know we no longer have anybody signed up, but anybody online for public comment?
So at this time, if there's anybody that would like to speak at the public input period before the City Property Committee, please raise your hand by using the raise hand feature at the bottom of your screen. You can have the opportunity to speak before the full City Council at 6:45, but this is before the City Property Committee and the Committee of the Whole. Is there anybody who would like to speak? Please raise your hand. No, I see none.
Councilor Richard, do you want to take number 2, or should we take 2, 3, and 4 together?
I think we should be able to take 2, 3, and 4 together. Okay, so I'll read all 3. All right, item number 2 is a communication from Lori Harridge, Narragansett Bay Commission, to the Honorable Donald R. Grevian, Mayor. Permanent tunnel easement at 160 Exchange Court, AP 22L, Lot 220. Item number 3, communication from Lori Harridge, Narragansett Bay Commission, Charles S. Pettit, and the City of Pawtucket. Permanent tunnel easement at 141 Front Street, AP 20L27. And item 4, communication from Lori Harridge, Narragansett Bay Commission, to the Honorable Donald R. Grevian, Mayor. Permanent tunnel easement at Fountain Street, AP 22L221. I make a motion to take all of these communications up.
Second.
It's been motion by Councilor Arujo, second by Councilor Moreno, that we take up the communications from Lori Horridge at Narragansett Bay Commission to the Honorable Donald R. Grevian and Charles S. Pettis in response to tunnel easement at 160 Exchange Court, AP 22L2220, tunnel easement at 141 Front Street, AP 20L27, and tunnel easement at Fountain Street, AP 22L221. All in favor of taking up these communications?
Aye.
Okay, I think.
Frank is here, by the way.
Okay, great. So these are just similar to what we've done previously, where they're continuing work and they paid the $1,000.
It's exactly the same.
Okay, that's what.
Just 3 new properties.
There's 3 new ones. Okay. Any questions from any other committee members on it?
No, just a continuation of the project.
Yep.
Right. So do we make a motion to approve?
Yes.
All right, okay, so I'm gonna make a motion to approve all 3 of these communications. And that goes to the full council.
I believe we'll, yeah. Just
All right, so I'll make a motion to approve the 3 items to bring forward to the whole council for approval.
Second.
It's been recommended by Councilor Rujo, second by Councilor Moreno, that we send these 3 communications with a recommendation for approval to the full council. That is the tunnel easement at 160 Exchange Street, AP 222, Lot 220, the tunnel easement at 141 Front Street, AP 20, Lot 27, and tunnel easement at Fountain Street, AP 22, Lot 221. All in favor, roll call.
Chairwoman Stakoviak.
Yes.
Councilor Rujo.
Yes.
Councilor Moreno.
Yes.
3 to 0.
Okay. Councilor Rujo, can you take number 5, please?
Number 5 is a resolution providing site control to the Pawtucket School Committee for the construction of a new unified high school in the city of Pawtucket. Make a motion to take that resolution up.
Second.
It's been motion by Councilor Rujo, second by Councilor Moreno, that we take up the resolution providing site control to the Pawtucket School Committee for the construction of a new unified high school in the city of Pawtucket. All in favor of taking up this resolution?
Aye.
One question, on item number 6, do we do anything with that? I mean, that's always just.
Or is that just for our info
Do we have
purposes?
to file that, or so it's already?
You'll file it, you'll just have it read and ordered filed. If you want to discuss it, you can, but other than that, it's just to be read and ordered filed.
Okay, we'll have to do that after this.
All right. Well, we are back here since our special meeting last week, which I just wanted to reiterate, thank you for everybody for coming again to another meeting this week. Last week I thought was very productive in our fact finding, and I'm glad that we had the extra week to go through the stage 2 and all that stuff. So, does anybody have any further questions after the last week? Or any comments or questions?
Go ahead, Councilman.
So I have just one quick question, and I don't know if this is solely for Frank or for Attorney Conley, but I'm considering whether we should ask for a declaratory ruling from RIDE relative to what the scope and authority is of the building committee. You know, I think we're all in agreement that Title 16 kind of trumps all of the other ambiguities. But I'm still stuck on the fact that it says that committee meets with RIDE, and that committee is supposed to be comprised a certain way. Would it be beneficial or possible to, number one, ask for a declaratory ruling from RIDE, and to ask that it be done in an expedited fashion, perhaps? I'm not suggesting we tie it to the resolution tonight, because I know we're on a tighter deadline, we're moving towards December. I'm just wondering, outside of dealing with this resolution, whether that's a good idea or a bad idea or a possible idea or not.
Well, I'm not going to say it's a bad idea, because I think I made it clear that I'm a bit confused based on my reading of the regulations last week, exactly what the scope of authority is of the school building committee. Again, I think it's more than just merely advisory, but to what extent, I'm not sure. Again, I don't want to put Attorney Conley on the spot. You over there, Bill? I can't see you. But I think, although from his perspective, Title 16, I think he would agree with you, trumps the regulations. He and I have had some conversations about the school building committee, and Bill, are you convinced that you're sure of the scope of authority of the school building authority? Is that something you want to work in tandem with the city on, or would you rather Pawtucket, just make that request on its own?
Well, I would certainly need authority from my committee to join in that declaratory request. I would need authority from my client to do that. I would say, and first I appreciate President Marissa's consideration that would be done collateral to, but not as a part of site control. And to the extent that there is some confusion, and we certainly want to go forward on this project as partners, that if it's the city's desire to file that request for a declaratory ruling, I would certainly recommend to my client that if the city were considering having us do that as a joint request, have the language for the declaratory ruling approved by your client as well as mine, that we make that effort, I think it would be a good idea. I think it would again strengthen the partnership that we're trying to build in this process, so that we're all asking the same questions and getting satisfactory answers, so that we move together in a confident way through this process.
And I think I can say that even if ultimately you decide not to join per se, again, you and I have been collaborative on this. I'm happy to seek some input from you as I frame the declaratory ruling and speak further with Council President Mercer prior to sending it out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so I would probably then ask, I can't make the motion on the floor, but I'll ask for that motion. I'll articulate what it is. We'll vote on that if I do so, then with the understanding that you will take it to your client to whether or not to join or not.
Yes, sir.
I know you can't speak for your client now, they can't take a vote, but you'd be able to put it on the agenda, Chair, and discuss it.
On November meeting.
Okay.
Councilman Wareham first.
Yeah, after the last meeting, I had just one thing to go, and I think that the school committee person, Manolo, turned around and said she had, I think, 10 years' experience on the building committee. But maybe if she or someone else can answer the question, to the point that when and you've done a lot of these projects, refurbishment, do you get updates on construction and fiscal updates, whether or not they're meeting budget?
Yes, so we,
How often do you get them too, by the way?
actually, I speak with our OPMs daily, and fiscally, Gianna from Colliers meets with our CFO weekly, if not more.
We can report back as often as you'd like. We have weekly meetings and
Yep.
meeting minutes, and we're constantly in the financials.
I'm just curious
Yeah,
whether or
so
not,
typically we meet with districts as often as they like in the building committee or whatever capacity.
thank you.
I actually think that's not a terrible idea. You know, we have some developers in the city that we request to come in and give us updated reports on how it's going. And I think we have there's a lot of money on the state for tax holders, so I don't think it's out of the realm to ask for, you know, quarterly updates or every other month or something like that, just so council members as a whole can hear it, the public, taxpayers can hear it on record. I don't know how anybody else feels about that.
I think that's a good idea. I mean, this is the biggest school project we've ever had. And just to have that transparency of where it is, you know, it's only an update. So I think it's something that, you know, could be reported to this council and to the committee as well. And so be it that they want to do that. Yeah, because it's the biggest project we've ever undertaken as a city.
Yeah. Councilor Gray, do you have a question?
Yes, I was just curious in regards to President Mercer's request to do the school. I don't necessarily have an issue with it, however, I think as we all said, Title 16 gives full authority to the school committee. That's pretty clear. There's absolutely nothing confusing about it that I can see. And I'm not sure how RIDE would have the authority to override statutory.
We're not asking them to override, we're asking them to give us a declaratory ruling on that issue. We're asking them to clarify something for us. We're not asking them to override anything.
But what is it we're looking to clarify? Who has authority over the...
What the scope and authority of the building construction committee is. I think that was pretty clear.
Rick, I have a question. Anybody else? I have a question. Is there with this deed, and I saw the survey here, but is there an updated needs and bounds description with this deed?
You mean the resolution?
Yeah, the resolution, sorry.
No, there is no meets and bounds description. My understanding is that, again, based on conversations that Attorney Connolly and I have had, RIDE is not actually requiring or requesting a meets and bounds description because, again, as we had talked about briefly last week, it's not actually a conveyance
Yeah.
of the property. However, with that said, I personally think it would be better if we had a meets and bounds description. I say that only because this is one big parcel of land that we've owned since the 1930s, and that parcel is comprised of McCoy, the McCoy Annex, my understanding, the two schools across the street. Division Street didn't even exist back when the property was initially conveyed to us back in the 30s. I'm surprised that in all the decades that have followed, Pawtucket hasn't ever decided to do an internal subdivision just to actually demark the boundaries of, you know, these individual buildings and what actually makes up the curtilage of those buildings and the property. I don't think it's a bad idea to do that. And again, I was kind of surprised. I'm not sure if Bill was, but we have so much paper that made up the Stage 2 application, and really the only thing we had to attach to the proposed resolution was the topography plan, which when I looked at that plan, seemed to actually encompass the fire station, which is why I added the language specifically excluding the fire station. I just think that it would be cleaner, ultimately, to have a meets and bounds description that actually identifies with some certainty what is it that actually
Is the parcel.
is the parcel that's being utilized and that the council is vesting site control over.
Yeah. Sorry that I said deed. My
No,
real
that's okay.
estate
No.
brain kicked in.
I get
So would it, obviously we don't want to hold anything up, but would it make sense to put something in the resolution that says, you know, in getting a current meets and bounds description, or is that just something we don't have to put in the resolution and we can just say, hey, we'd like to have this?
Bill, does that change things from RIDE's perspective? I mean, they really want to see the site control resolution. If there's a condition, if there's conditional language built into that resolution, do you think that's an issue with RIDE in terms of perfecting the application?
Yes, it will be. I understand, and I think it's well placed that a meets and bounds description would serve the school side and the city side as well. But that survey that was referenced, even though it's only topographical, that survey as addressed by Frank regarding the fire station, that survey will suffice to satisfy RIDE that for construction of the building we'll have the site control we need to do that. If we condition it upon a meets and bounds survey, which RIDE is not requiring at this time, it will hold up. It'll be a qualifying factor. It won't let us get stage 2 final approval.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that once again, that we can't work collaboratively to get that meets and bounds survey done in the future to satisfy everybody's concerns in that regard.
Yeah.
And then supplement that to RIDE.
RIDE won't even want it.
Okay.
Okay, but I think for the city, like, I think how Frank said, it would still benefit the city
Right.
and construction to have that anyways.
Agreed.
Just going back to the declaratory, President Russell talked about, Frank, is there enough information out there for whether it be a judge or whatever makes that decision on declaratory? Like, is there enough information for them to give us some sort of a...
Well, I mean, I'm going to draft something up.
Right.
I'll speak with Councilor Mercer, whether Bill's officially involved or not. I'll certainly have conversations with him and flesh out. I mean, in my own mind, I know what I think I would be asking just based on my review of the regulations.
And but what do they review? Then do they review you supply all the paperwork?
Again, the regs are what they are. I'm going
Yeah.
to quote certain provisions because there's not that many provisions that actually make reference to the school building authority. But those few that do exist in the regs are a bit confusing to me relative to what is the extent of the authority that the school building authority has. Again, I'm not suggesting that anywhere in the regs it states that the school building authority trumps the school building. But is it, again, just merely advisory or more?
Right.
So just quickly back to means and bounds. So if we're not going to put it in the resolution, do we need to do any sort of motion or anything to have one done, or just how does that move forward?
You can just do it. You can just agree to do it. If you want to have something official, on the next docket, you can put it on the docket, take up, and then vote on it. You can't do it at this meeting.
Okay.
You can do it next meeting, but the two sides can just agree to do it and say, Frank has got to meet with Bill and go out there and put it together and get somebody to do it for them. So I mean, you can do it informally or you can do it formally. Whatever you feel comfortable with.
Council President,
We can probably wrap the two motions together, asking the solicitor's office to pursue the declaratory ruling, hopefully in conjunction with the school committee, and the same thing about pursuing the meets and bounds, again, in conjunction with the school committee. And I just have one more thought on the declaratory ruling. It will be about all school building construction committees. So whenever we get a final answer, I think that would inform how we proceed with Baldwin as well. Yes? We'd all be on the same page as to what these committees, because there are two separate committees for Baldwin and the high school, right? So I think your 7 and our 9 would be on the same page as to what is expected of those committees.
That kind of, I'm sorry, Mr. Madam Chair.
No, yeah, go ahead.
I apologize. Through the Chair. Request for a declaratory ruling from a regulatory agency means that it'll apply to every school building committee in the state.
Yes, I gathered that, but I think from our individual Pawtucket-centric perspective, better to get a full answer. That was my only point.
Okay. Joanne, did you happen to bring, I know last week we had said you were going to take the week to find that position. I don't know if you had found somebody.
I have been speaking with Bianca and they are working with the planning department. A couple names have come up there. Bianca is meeting with the mayor tomorrow to make sure everything filters through okay there. I also have two architects, one architect company in the city of Pawtucket who has actually done a lot of work for Pawtucket, finds it compelling to be on the committee, and so he's brought it to his upper level. I'm waiting on an answer for that. And someone else has brought us a referral of someone else who is an architect who just came to the city, but plans on residing here for a while, and we're reaching out to that person. So we haven't got one, but I did speak with Dean Lancelotti, who is the AEC, on the stage 2 submission. And he did renovations and reconstructions. At a point in time, he has been on a teacher in Pawtucket for 27 years, so we believe he is part of the community. He worked on the soccer field over on Industrial Highway. So for now, Rice has accepted him. However, I am continuing to look to add another person to the committee in that position. We just have to find one that will work with us and is available to make a couple of meetings a month.
All right, so you're being proactive.
So, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for that collaborative.
Yeah, thank you
effort.
so much.
Really for reaching out.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that.
All right, Councilor Gregor?
Yeah, I just want to go back to the meets and bounds issue. I mean, the council is being asked to give site control to the school committee for an unidentified parcel of real estate, one of which I have an issue with particularly is the McCoy Annex. Again, we go back to the fact that I don't believe that we as council have the authority to override federal statutory law, rules and regulation pertaining to the LWCF funded sites to send it to the school committee that they can go ahead and have the site control. If we're going to be talking about declaratory judgments, I would suggest that we also ask for Joe Lynch, who's the National Park Chief of State and Local Assistance Program Division, to give us a ruling as to whether or not the city could go ahead and give site control of a protected public recreational resource without going through the conversion process. So.
Frank, did you want to say anything on that, or?
No.
Okay. Oh, all right. Anybody else?
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution and bring it forward to the full city council for them to vote on.
All right, it's been motioned by Councilor Rujo, second by Councilor Moreno, that we send the resolution about site control to the school committee, to the full council for approval. Any questions or comments on that? Clerk,
So
will you
the
call?
vote is just to go to the floor?
Yes.
Go to the floor, but there, yeah.
Is this something? I don't know.
Councilor Koyak?
Yes.
Councilor Rujo?
Yes.
Councilor Moreno?
Yes.
3-0.
And item number 6 is just the new unified high school Pawtucket Ride Stage 2 application, just to approve it being read and filed.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilor Rujo, second by Councilor Moreno, that the new Unified High School Pawtucket Ride Stage 2 application is read and filed. Correct?
Then order filed.
Read, ordered, and filed.
That's
All in favor of being read, ordered, and filed?
Aye.
Aye. All right, no further business, I'll take a motion.
Motion. Second.
All right, it's been motioned to adjourn this meeting of the City Property Committee. All in favor? Motion, meeting is adjourned. My iPad froze. Mike, can you get that?
So folks, we're going to sign off and we're going to go into the City Council chambers where the City Council meeting will start at about 7 o'clock. Be right back at you.